I'm Dixie. I am a certified life coach and really passionate about mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And I want to ask you a question today that I hope is going to spur some thought and hopefully broaden your perspective. I think we all need our perspectives challenged and broadened all the time. The question I want to ask you is, where does your power and your freedom come from? And one of the things that spurred this thought for me, that spurred that question, was a quote that a wonderful Travis Bradberry posted on LinkedIn. And it's a quote from Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And it was a very powerful book. I really, really recommend that. It's a tough read, but definitely powerful. One of the things, that he points out in there is that no matter what happens on the outside of us, no matter what job we have, no matter what, spouse, all those different kinds of things. And I've talked about that stuff before, but, for them, they had everything taken. They had all their earthly possessions. They had their clothes. They had their freedom. They had everything taken. No matter what happens outside of us, we still have a choice. And in that book, he talks about the fact that people responded very differently in those environments. We all really do have a choice of how we will respond, and for different reasons. And he was a psychiatrist, so he was looking at all those different reasons why people respond the way they do. He says that in recognizing the fact that we do have a choice, that it is up to us how we respond, no matter what happens outside of us, that's where our freedom, that's where our power comes from. No matter what somebody else does, you have the freedom, you have the power, you get to choose. One of the things that he talked about that I thought was really profound also was the fact that for those people in that situation, and I believe it's true of us today, people who had something they were living for, something that was bigger than themselves, tended to respond in a good way. They tended to respond in a better way, I guess, in those situations. And I believe that's true of us as well. I believe that if you have something that you feel like, someone is depending on me, or you have a greater purpose or something like that, it gives you a different reason to respond. For me, a lot of times it's my kids. I think, we lead by example, and they're going to see what I do, and they're going to see that, that's going to make more of an impact than anything that I say. So, for me, that's definitely a huge motivator. But I also believe that we are all designed with dreams and ideas and plans and things that are inside of us that we didn't put there. They came with us. And one of the reasons I believe that is because I know a lot of people who, have this dream, have a strong desire to be singers or actors or sports, different things like that. And I think I've never had that desire. I've never even wanted that desire. But there are things in me that are really important, that are driving factors. And so, one of the things I just wanted to challenge is, if you have dreams, you have ideas, you have something inside of you, you think, man, I really wish I could do that. I like to ask the question when I interview homeless people, if you could do anything, there was no limit on money or time or physical restraints, what would you do? And that's where I think you start to see, God, I believe God designed us with these things. It's kind of like he planted them, they're like little mysteries in our life. And the goal is, what he wants for us is to experience those things, whatever it is that he's given us the desire to do, or those dreams. And I believe that even just that, if you're all alone in the world and there's, no one else, even that can be enough to say, it matters how I respond. And I also just want to challenge you the fact that the pains that we've experienced, everybody has different ones, but I believe we all have them. Those pains can actually be used for powerful tools. Those pains, like, Viktor Frankl's story, can be used to benefit the world. So, I think a lot of times we feel like if I failed, if I did something, I'm disqualified. And that's not true. It is not true. I think if we recognize that we are incredible, amazing, mind-blowing machines, like, we can't even fathom the design that we each are individually, uniquely. And the fact that, what I want you to see is that you can take control. You can grab the steering wheel. You can adjust your sails no matter what's going on outside. And that in itself is so powerful, and it sets us free. So I know I kind of rattle through a bunch of things. There's so many thoughts that I want to share, but hopefully you've gotten something out of that. I just hope that, talking about these things will help you to see how important it is, because what you think is really going to determine everything else. So if you can control your thoughts, you can direct them, get the steering wheel and make them go where you want them to go, everything else